Okay, we're back and we're going to throw in one more little FedEx quest here. And this time we're just going to use the Wizard Tower as our setting. And in this quest, the wizard that happens to be here, or the magic-related person, they're looking for some magical essences from a nearby creature. So we're going to throw this quest together. Fire up the quest plugin, file, new quest. And again, the neat thing about these FedEx type quests is you can actually, you put them together to make, an entire adventure line. Each of these FedEx quests objectives, you could, if you can assemble a story that includes them, then they don't have to be FedEx quests, but we're just doing that for this video. So we're going to call this one Gold Front. And you're going to get 25 experience for it, no gold, and oh, maybe they'll pay for it, yeah, 10 gold, well, maybe 100 gold. This one is going to be a recommended level of, and I'm just going to do this for fun here, I'm just going to say recommended level 4, and it's a little difficult. And again, this one has no requirements because you might want to pick it up while you're exploring the village, even though it is a tougher quest. So we're going to hit next. And I've created a new NPC. I've just made another copy. I've just made a copy of Torio. So we're just going to use her. Post one-liner is going to be thanks again for helping me obtain those essences. And that's it. Greetings, adventurer. If you are looking for work, I may have some for you. I'm paying handsomely for anyone to obtain some ice essence from the nearby mephits. Across the street and behind that house there is usually where they can be found. And again, I'm just slapping this together so you just get the idea. Please return to me some essences. Now, actually, I'm going to give this one a little bit more description. To obtain the challenge, to properly extract the ice essence from them, you'll need to use a special wand. I will provide you with that wand if you're willing to take on this challenge. And she's a quest finisher. Thank you so much for these. And as promised, here is some gold for your hard work. Okay, simple as that. What I really want to demonstrate in this one is a new objective type that we haven't shown before, and that is use item, get item, mob. Now, use item, get item, mob is basically, it's exactly that. We're going to use an item to get an item, and we're going to be involving a creature. So we'll use that, and the objective is going to be obtain ice essence. Now, the creature we're going to use here is actually going to be the ice mephit. I'm going to create a copy of him. And the item to get is going to be an ice essence. And we're going to want to get, we'll say 2 of them. Now you'll see here it says, note the item tool that you use on the creature corpse is always given as a prop by the NPC with this objective. So that means that the NPC that has this objective is going to have to hand out a prop, and that prop is going to be the tool we're going to use to obtain these ice essences. So we're going to hit finish, and we're going to create a new prop. I'm just going to call it Ice Wand. and we're going to say quantity 1. Now that's where this quest tool checkbox comes in. When we select this quest box, it's telling the plugin that this prop is usable and it's used for this objective. That's the sole purpose of this checkbox, is to be able to interface with the plugin for the um, use item, get item, mob, use item, get item, place. That's what that checkbox is for, is to tell the system that this prop is going to be for these type of objectives. And that's it. That's all we have to do. And of course, we're going to want her to remove this one at the end. So we'll say next, 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 finish. Now we're going to simply place Torio down. So we'll lay her right here. Oops, and I'm showing trees, and of course when I do that I can never seem to select anything other than the trees. There we go. So Torio is going to be hanging around right there. And as she said, over yonder field is where we're going to find a couple of these methods. Now again, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to reduce the perception range of these methods to short, because we don't have a whole lot of space here to work with in this area. So I'm just doing that over on the other screen. Perception range, change to short. And I'm going to just make these guys a little bit weaker, just because I don't have a very tough character. And make them weak like kobolds, and hopefully I'll be able to defeat a few. So I'm going to throw one. I'm going to throw one right here, and I'm going to throw another one right here. So there's our two methods. Oh, I'm going to have to do one more change. So I'm going to delete these guys again. The only other important thing is with the quest tool is that you actually have to use the tool on their corpse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the decay time on this to something like, default is 5 seconds. I'm going to change it to like 60 seconds, just to give the player an opportunity to do it. And let's see. Pretty sure that's it. Oh, I also need to be able to select it when it's dead, so I'll have to turn that on. And that's it. So let's lay these two guys down again, and that's it. So that's our next quest. So we're going to turn that off. Now our final pieces that I want to talk about before I actually go in game and demonstrate these. And that is the other types of quests. I just want to discuss them. I'm not going to implement everything here. I just want to discuss them so you know the difference between them. Now, we have to remember that the quest plugin was created because I use this system in my persistent world, and I've been doing it for several years now. And the challenge was extracting it from my persistent world into a standalone plugin. So some of these functions and features were actually unique to my persistent world and may or may not be useful or apply in yours, but they did in mine, so I just figured I'd include them. You may just be satisfied with just using quests all the time and not these other ones, but I'm going to go through them real quick just to demonstrate what they're about. Lore books are exactly that. They are a book that it's actually an item. The quest begins with the activation of an item, and it's typically a book. Now, the way the lore book works is there's not typically any NPCs involved in these type of quests. It's common to have one of these maybe as a reward, maybe as something a player finds in a dungeon, so they can actually get. It's great. One thing I've discovered is that typically you don't always want players to go to a village, collect their quests, go on out into the field and perform them. I find after building literally hundreds upon hundreds and hundreds of quests, I found that that gets a little stale. So it's a good idea to try and have quests begin in other places than villages and towns. So little camps are all over the place in the actual dungeons. So starting a quest from within inside a dungeon is a great thing, and you can do that easily with like a lore book instead of having an NPC down there. So the lore book works very similar to Quest. You'll see a lot of familiar things in here. They're just not as complex as a regular Quest. It starts with an item, so again, you can create a brand new item and give experience and all that stuff, and have requirements before the item will work. But once a player activates the item, they get the quest offer. So the quest offer looks like this. It's basically the pages of the lore book, and there's 5 pages, up to 5 pages in each lore book. And what you can do is things like, you always write it in, as a person is kind of reading the book. As you read or open this book, you, learn that it is the chronicle of, such and such, maybe a figure from the past or whatever, and the quest is, follow this person in their footsteps. Then you can, you can have each page be the quest finisher. Usually it's not going to be one page, and there is also only ever one objective. Now, every objective is not available to lore books. You're not going to speak to an NPC, but you can kill something or discover a place. So a good example of a lore book is, you pick up a lore book and it's the travels of, Joe Adventurer. Um, it says Joe Adventurer visited these ruins, and then he visited those ruins, and then he visited these ruins, and left a landmark. Um, the lore book could be, you should maybe retrace his footsteps. So that quest, this whole lore book could be several discover places. So you get one objective per lore book, and then you can do multiple pages. Now the only other difference here is the rewards of a lore book. Because the lore books don't typically involve NPCs, you're not usually going to get, items or anything like that as rewards. But in my persistent world, what I do is I actually hand out feats for rewards for lore books. And the way my world works is that I have several custom feats created. My Legends teleportation system has the ability to require the player to have a feat before they can actually use a portal. And that's one example of a custom feat. The way they get that custom feat is they actually find a lore book, and they gain the feat by doing it. So what'll happen is this will actually have a list of all the feats that are available. So you can give out either built-in feat or custom feat. And of course, you just have to code it yourself, code the feat yourself. So that's something that the Quest plugin doesn't actually do, is if you want to make custom feats. Or you just don't have to have a feat at all. It could be just an experience reward. So that's what lore books are. A collection quest is something, for anyone who's ever played EverQuest 2, you'll probably already know what a collection is. What collections are for is for collecting items and then handing them to what we call a collector. So there's a guy out there who likes, he has a wine collection, for example, or he's a collector of wine. You go out, you visit, several different villages, you buy wine, or you loot wine from a camp or something like that, and maybe there's, 5 different bottles of wine. The quest begins when you find any one of the items that are in the collection. So if there's 5 different bottles of wine, and you don't have this quest, there's 5 different bottles of wine in the collection. You don't actually meet the collector first and start the quest from him. You actually get the quest offer when you pick up any one of the 5 bottles of wine, for example. So what you could do is you could say, wine collection. And, there's 100 experience, and somebody's collector's willing to pay 50 gold. So how it works is, when a collection item is found, this is what the quest box, the offer quest, will show. You've discovered a fine bottle of wine, for example. It appears that this may belong to a complete set. If you were to find the others, perhaps a collector would be willing to pay handsomely for them. And then, of course, you would add an objective, and all it is obtain item. That's the only one you can do. So you just obtain items, and once you have enough items, you just create wine bottles, and once you have enough, then you add one more objective: speak to an NPC, and then of course that speak to an NPC would be find a collector. That'd be the last objective. Automatically it says, the collector is going to be NPC2 and all the other objectives must be completed first. That's just automatic. You can't change that because it's part of the quest system and it has to be done. Then on the next page, you put in your collector's information, and it's just like a regular NPC where it'll have a name, a pre-quest one-liner, and a pre-quest one-liner may say something like, I'm looking for that wine collection and I'll be happy, or something like that, just to give the player a clue that this guy may be the collector. So if you're walking around a village, you go inside the inn, there's a guy standing in the corner, the player goes up and talks to him, and he says his one-liner, they may clue in right away, okay, this guy's a collector, and he's looking for a wine collection. So once the player finds all the items for this collection, then they know who to turn it into. And of course, this is where he thanks you and pays you some money and so on and so forth. So that's what a collection quest is. One thing I do enjoy doing for collection quests is I use the Legends loot plugin and the Legends spawn plugin, and to make things a little interesting and keep things random. In the Legends spawn plugin, you have the ability to spawn a placeable object in multiple random locations. So I could have, one right here. I could put a spawn point here. I could put a spawn point here, for example, those 3 spawn points, and have say a chest appear randomly at one of these spawn points, every 3 minutes. And it keeps the player guessing where the next collection item is. Maybe they have an idea that one of the wine bottles are normally found in this village, but they don't know exactly where because it spawns in different places all the time. And then I use the Legends Loot plugin to actually spawn one of the wine bottles inside that chest. And the Legend Spawn plugin has the ability to destroy the chest as soon as it's looted. So when first player comes along, opens up the chest, grabs the wine bottle, they get the collection quest, and then the spawn system destroys the chest, and it has to respawn, 5 minutes later. But it could respawn somewhere else. So if you're standing here with your buddy and you grab the wine bottle and you get the quest, your buddy may be standing here an awful long time and not realize that the chest may not even spawn here a second time, and it may spawn somewhere else. So it's entertainment, it's fun. It's a change from the grinding. Go out and try and find some collections and make as many types of collections as you want. Butterfly collection, bird feather collection, stamp collection, wine collection, whatever you can think of makes a great collection, and then just have some NPCs laying around who are collectors who are willing to pay for them. So that's a kind of a fun thing to do, and especially when you leverage the spawn and loot plugin like that, it makes the collection, you're not always going to location X to grab that one item from the collection. It could be anywhere in this area, kind of thing. So makes it like a treasure hunt kind of thing. So that's what collections are for. Deeds, again, are something else that is unique to my persistent world, and the purpose of a deed is to make grinding a little bit more interesting. In my persistent world, I don't give any experience at all for killing creatures. There's the whole idea of grinding is annoying. So what I've done is my world is completely filled with quests, and you only get experience from performing quests. One type of quest is deeds, and deeds are basically grinding, only grinding a group of monsters. So the deed name could be Kobold Killer, and the deed objective is defeat kobolds. And a deed creature is needed. Maybe you have to kill 50 of them. And when you defeat 50 of them, you're going to get 250 experience, and the recommended level is 1, and so on and so forth. So this is what a deed is, where you actually go and you defeat kobolds, or you could just say defeat Grimfoot if they're the Grimfoot clan. That way you don't actually have to have your deed limited to one kind of monster. I'll show you that in a second. So let's just say you're filling that out. You hit next. Now, when you defeat the first deed creature, so when you defeat the first type of kobold, the first Grimfoot kobold you kill, the offer quest box is going to appear. So you've defeated a Grimfoot kobold. These pests need to be eliminated, or whatever. Eliminated. Something like that. You just put in something creative. And then, of course, when you finish the 50th kobold, the 50th Grimfoot, you can say, well done, you've attained the level of kobold killer, something like that. Just something that you put in the finish box. And that's pretty much straightforward. And then, of course, you can put your deed creatures in the quest. So I want to have a kobold in here. I want to have a Grimfoot shaman in here. I want to have the chief. I want to have the archers. All the different kind of Grimfoot that I want to put in here that count against this type of quest. And of course, I can have it repeated if I want to. So in my world, you can kill 50 kobolds, but you don't get, or 49 kobolds, but you don't get any experience for them. But you can get experience if you defeat 50 of them, and then you get this deed completed. And then, of course, in the configuration of the quest plugin, you can actually do a shout and say, Joe Dorf has become the kobold killer, just for some prestige, everybody will know, hey, Joe Dorf defeated 50 kobolds, kind of thing. So that's simple as this. That's all there is to it. It's just a twist on grinding. It makes things a little bit more interesting, and gives players a goal, rather than 5 experience for killing 1 kobold. Okay, whoop-de-doo. I'll just sit here and do that all day long. They actually, change. It's exactly the same thing, only it's a twist on it, and makes it look like they have a better goal. Oh, I only need to kill 3 more. I only need to kill 2 more, kind of thing. So it's a twist on grinding, and makes it a little bit more interesting. And that's it. That's the 4 types of quests, and of course the journal will keep track of all 4, so that you can view them individually. And we're going to end this video here, and this will be the second last video of the Legends Quest plugin. The next and final video is going to be demonstrating these last 2 quests that I just put in place to show you how they work, and we'll end the videos there. So I'll see you in game in a few minutes. Okay, I came back into the toolset because I did make a mistake on this quest. Again, as we talked about before, this mound here in the Grumbar quest where he wants us to destroy this beetle mound, I totally mentioned the fact that I was supposed to use a spawn plugin but neglected to actually do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the beetle mound, and I'm actually going to spawn it using the Legend Spawn plugin. So once again, if you're familiar with the Legend Spawn plugin, then you don't have to worry about what I'm doing here. If you're not familiar with it, you may want to have a look at the videos. So I'm just going to update the tag of this area, and then I have to update the tag of this spawn point, or sorry, this HBman waypoint. And I'm going to spawn a placeable object. Now I'm going to do it in a place where there's no trees. Say, kind of right here. And we'll turn those trees off. So we're going to spawn our beetle mound, or bug mound, right there. So we'll fire up the spawn plugin. We'll edit that waypoint instance, and this is going to be placeable object. Yes, and it's going to be our beetle mound. And we're going to respawn it, I don't know, once every 2 minutes kind of thing. And we are going to have a destroy effect. We want to destroy this with a, let's see here. We want to destroy it with a nice fireball effect. There we go. So that's our destroy effect, and this isn't, and I know it may seem like you probably should click this quest base because it is related to a quest. However, this is for only quest based spawns like creature spawns or placeable spawns that you use those 3 fields when you're in the quest plugin. This here is not for what this is about. This is just basically to respawn something that's going to disappear um, once we use it in this quest. So that's what we're doing. So we're going to hit finish, and we're going to quit, and that's it. So we're going to save it and go back into the game now. Now that I've got that straightened out, and we'll see you in there. Oh, also I'm just gonna do it off camera, but I'm gonna update the icons for the ice mephits, the essence, and the wand. I'm gonna just update those icons off camera here too, and so that'll look half decent instead of the stock icons. So we'll see you in game in a second.